What are you waiting for me to tell you? What good will it do? What if I said that this isn't a funeral? That it's a holiday celebration? And that if you stick around, the band will end up playing or do you expect to see some magic? The dead rise up and walk again. Go home. He's as dead as he'll ever die. That's the end and the beginning, and there's no encore. There's no one here to preach a sermon, and there'll be no miracles. Go home, forget it. He's in this box, newly dead. Go home and don't think about it. He's dead, and you've got all you can do to think about. I've told you to go home, but you keep standing there. Don't you know the sun is about to set? So what if you wait for what little I can tell you? Can I tell you in 20 minutes what was built in 21 years and ended in 20 seconds? What are you waiting for when all I can tell you is his name? And once I've told you, what will you know that you didn't know already? Except perhaps. All right. You do the listening, and I'll try to tell you. Then you go home and forget it. Forget it. His name was and they shot him down. His name was he was tall. And some folks thought him handsome. And although he didn't believe it, I think he was. His name was His face was black, and his hair was thin in tight rolled curls, or call them naps, or kinks. He's dead. Uninterested. And except to a few young ladies, it doesn't matter. Can you see him? Think of your brother or your cousin, Jules. His lips were thick with an upward curve at the corners. He often smiled. He had good eyes and a pair of fast hands, and he had a heart. He thought about things, and he felt deeply. I won't call him noble, because what's such a word to do with one of us? His name was Shaun. Like any man, he was born of a woman to live a while and fall and die. So that's his tale to the minute. His name was Trey. And for a while he lived among us and aroused a few hopes in the young manhood of men. And we who knew him loved him. And he died. So why are you waiting? Why wait for more when all I can do is repeat it? Very well. So I'll tell you. His name was Walter, and he was young, and he was a leader. And when he fell, he had a hole in the heel of his sock. And when he was stretched out forward, he didn't seem as tall as when he stood. So he died. And we who loved him are gathered here to mourn him. It's as simple as that and as short as that. His name was a coward, and he was black, and they shot him down. Isn't that enough to appease your thirst for drama and send you home to go sleep it off? Go have a drink and forget it. Or read it in the Daily News. His name was Shaun, and they shot him. And I was there to see him fall. So I know it as I know it. Here are the facts. He was standing and he fell. He fell and he kneeled. He kneeled and he bled. He bled and he died. He fell like a heap, like any man. And the blood spilled out like any blood. Red as any blood. Wet as any blood. And reflected the sky and the buildings and the birds and the trees. Or your face, if you had taken the time to look into its dulling mirror. Then the blood dried as blood dries. That's all. They spilled his blood and he bled. They cut him down and he died. The blood pooled on the sidewalk and gleamed a while. Then after a while, grew dull, then dusty, then dried.
that's the story, and that's how it ended. It's an old story, and there's been way too much blood to excite you. Besides, it's only important when it fills the veins of a living man. Aren't you tired of such stories? Aren't you sick of the blood? Then why listen? Why don't you go? It's gonna get cold out here very soon. But the beers are cold in the taverns. The saxophones will be mellow at the Savoy. There'll be plenty of good old laughing lies in the barbershops and beauty salons. And there'll be sermons in 200 churches in the cool of the evening. And plenty of laughs at the movies. Go listen to Dave Chappelle and forget it. Here you have only the same old story. There's not even a young wife up here dressed in red to mourn him. There's nothing here to pay. No one here to break down and shout. Nothing. The story's too short and too simple. His name was and he was unarmed. And his death was as senseless as his life was futile. He wanted to struggle for brotherhood on 100 street corners because he thought it would make him more human. But he died like So listen to me standing up on this so-called mountain. Let me tell it as it truly was. His name was Shaun, and he was full of illusions. He thought he was a man when he was only just. He was shot for a simple mistake in judgment, and he bled, and the blood dried, and surely a crowd very similar to this one will trample out the stage. It was a normal mistake, of which many of us are guilty. He thought he was a man, and that men were not meant to be pushed around. It was hot downtown. And he forgot his history. He forgot the time, and he forgot the place. He lost his hold on reality. There was a cop and a waiting audience, but he was only remote. And there are cops everywhere. The cop? What about him?
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home.
He was a cop, a good citizen. But this cop had an itching finger and an eager ear for a word that rhymed with trigger. And when he shot him, he found it. The police special spoke its lines, and the rhyme was complete. Just look around you. Just look. Look at what he made. Look inside you and feel its awful power. It was perfectly natural. The blood red like blood, and a comic book killing on a comic book streets, and a comic book town on a comic book day, and a comic book world. Kachi one with the agents. But what's that got to do with all of you standing here? Now he's a part of history. And he's received his true freedom. Didn't they scribble his name on a standardized pad? His race, religion, unknown, polyglot Baptist, place of birth, some southern town. Address, unknown, Mexican, unknown, occupation, unknown. Cause of death, be specific. Resisting reality in the form of a 38 caliber revolver in the hands of the arresting officer on 42nd Street between the subway and the library in the heat of the afternoon. From gunshot wounds, from 3 bullets fired at 3 paces, 1 hit, the other severing the spinal ganglia and traveling downward to lodge in the pelvis, the other breaking the back and traveling God knows where. Such was the short and bitter life of Columbus. Now he's in that box with the bolts tightened down. He's in the box and we're in there with him. And once I've told you this, you can go.
It's dark in that box.
And it's crowded. It has rats and roaches, and it's far, far too expensive a dwelling. The air is bad, and it'll be cold this winter. A cell is crowded, and he needs the room.
Tell them to get out of the box, is what he would say if we could hear him. Tell them to get out of the box and teach those cops to forget that rhyme. Tell them to teach those cops that when they call you nigga, and to make a rhyme with trigger,
The guns backfire. So there you have it. In a few hours, all the will be cold bones in the ground. And don't be fooled, for these bones shall not rise again. You and I will still be in that box. I don't know if had a soul. I only know the ache that I feel in my heart, my sensitiveness. I don't know if you have a soul. I only know that all of us here tonight on this beautiful highline are made of flesh and blood, and that blood will spill and flesh grow cold. I do not know if all cops are poets, but I know all cops carry guns with triggers. And I do know how some of us here are labeled. So in the name of liquidity, beware the trigger. Go home. Stay safe away from these streets. Forget him. When he was alive, he was our hope. But why worry about a hope that's dead? So I've only had one thing left to tell to all of you, and I've already told them. His name was I. He believed in brotherhood. He aroused our hopes. And he died.